The State Intelligence Service Chief appeared before Gambia's Truth Commission. New COVID-19 restriction could harm South Africa's economy. And Zimbabwean government postponed reopening of schools due to the increase of new COVID-19 cases. Well, these and more coming your way on The World Today. Hello, this is Africa TV and you are watching the World Today News Bulletin. I am Amadou Kante. Many thanks for joining us, and now the news in detail. And we begin with matters of the TRRC. Now, the Director General of the State Intelligence Service, the SIS, appeared before the Truth Commission on Wednesday to testify on the role of the notorious state agency during the regime of former President Yahya Jammeh. Before his appointment as Director General of SIS in 2017, So was the head of the investigative department unit of the NIA. The CISA has more details of his testimony in this report.
The NIA, as it is popularly known by its acronym, was a notorious and feared Secret Service police unit answering directly to President Yahya Jammeh. With it came many stories of harassment, intimidation, illegal arrest, detention, torture, and enforced disappearances and killings of citizens. The agency's victims in the last 22 years were mainly human rights activists, opposition politicians, and journalists. On Wednesday, Usman Sow, a former head of investigations at the NIA and now its Director General, told the Third Commission he was not sure if the agency had a regulation.
Of the Commission received information that there is NIA regulation. Of 1997.
It could be done. I'm not in possession of any. But I can find out.
And my understanding is that you have a copy.
Well, it could be in the cells.
My information is that you know that you have a copy.
Well, maybe, but it's not something I am quite related.
But Mr. Sow, how can you have something?
You, Mr. Sow,
and you don't even know that you have it, and this is one of the most important tools that you have to use for the administration of the institution.
Truly, I wouldn't lie to that, Mr. Counsel. I may have it in the collection of files in the office, but it's not a day-to-day book or material that I refer to.
Several witnesses, most of whom victims of torture and abuse perpetrated by the NIA, made testimonies at the Third Commission last week. Some of them were forced to confess being involved in crimes against the state, while others suffered in legal detentions. The agency also abused its powers and took a lead role in drug and immigration cases, which were primarily the functions of the anti-drug agency and the immigration department. However, Usman Sow said that the NIA did because it had a significant intelligence gathering role at a time.
Drugs being a threat to national security.
And the
intelligence having a key role on collection. investigations of such threats.
Bunti ligay kay suñ bunti secret bi am nañ taxaway pour setlu ak dajale xibaar bo xamne mo demé ci bor bobu.
I think it is and it would be advisable.
Te fogna li dina nek lo xamne nit mën nako mën na yakar ne mbir la bo xamne dafa andak aida
for drugs to be matters of intelligence interest.
Usman Sow, who joined the NIA from its establishment in 1994, worked as an analyst, a chief investigator, and now its director general. Before becoming the country's chief intelligence officer, Sow was the permanent secretary at the Ministry of Environment and Climate Change. For iAfrica News, I am Daisy.
Witnesses continue to appear before Gambia's Truth Commission, and we will bring you more details of Sow's testimony in our subsequent news editions. Now to Zimbabwe next, where parents of school-going children in the country have expressed concerns over the government's decision to postpone the reopening of schools amid the recent increase of COVID-19 cases in the country. The first phase of the coronavirus disrupted the country's learning programs, leaving some parents worried of the situation as their children continue to stay at home. However, medical experts have contrasting views on the situation, with some saying avoiding public gatherings would limit the spread of the virus in the country. Here are more details of that in this report.
These children are meant to be in class, but they've had to find ways to keep themselves occupied at home, where they could be stuck for at least 30 more days. Their mother is worried that their continued forced absence from school could be damaging.
It may take as many as 4 or 5 years before there's a solution to the pandemic. So I think schools should continue with the preventative measures such as social distancing and washing hands, or else our children will be left behind. They have already lost a year and now they're going to the next grade, but they haven't learned anything. What future do they have if they've lost out an entire year?
One of the biggest challenges is that not all schools are equipped to observe the recommended prevention guidelines. This is where Jacqueline Chakuvinga's son goes to school. There are more than 60 students in his class, which means trying to keep them socially distanced is a formidable challenge. In other parts of the city, some schools don't have running water, and so regular hand washing is extremely difficult. Chakuvinga believes that there are ways to overcome such hurdles.
I think students can alternate the days that they go to school to manage congestion.
But not everyone is keen to see schools reopen. Medical experts say the interaction at crowded schools would expose more than just the students.
The problem is the young person catches it, they take it home to their dad or their mom who happens to be hypertensive or diabetic. And that's where the problem is. So we're in complete agreement. This was a matter of life and death.
In the absence of physical learning, some schools have opted to offer online classes instead. However, underprivileged and rural students could fall behind because their schools do not have resources to implement remote learning.
Zimbabwean government delays the reopening of schools due to COVID-19. And from that report in Zimbabwe, we come back home. Now, musician by Musa Seka, known by his stage name One Pack, suffered a public backlash over a photo portraying him as Jesus Christ on the cross. The image was circulated as a promotional image ahead of a musical concert. The artist later apologized, but in a press conference he organized on Tuesday in Barrow, One Pack said the Gambians should stop what he called favoritism and took a sweep at a GSM company which supported the Christmas Day musical event by Mamjara Promotions. Fatmata Kasim has more details of that in this report.
2 weeks ago, One Pack posted a picture on social media portraying himself as Jesus on the cross. The picture was a design flyer promoting a Christmas Day event organized by Mamjara Promotions and supported by the GSM company QCell. Many took to social media platforms to condemn his actions, including Mamjara Production and QCell. both of who distanced themselves from the art, which eventually got him pulled out of a list of guest artists for that event. One Park has since apologized to the Christian community and said they accepted the apology with a message that their religion is not here to downgrade anyone. He said they appreciated him and pleaded with QCell for him to perform, but they refused. The company had said it will not sponsor any show that One Park is to perform. At a press conference on Tuesday, One Park accused the GSM company of favorism and defending lies.
I had to talk about this QTV and Q City issue. You know, Gambia, we have to stop having favorites and stop this favorism act of defending the lies when it comes to the truth. You get me? But the condemnation with that Q City people even is like, I don't know him. I don't have no bitter experience with none of those members repping Q City or Q Cell. You get me? So, and at the end of the day, I see them like they said to your boss. You get me? It means we own it, Gambia, and the initiators and the founders, the CEO, even the owners are Gambian. In fact, I'm saying it. Read my lips. Q City, you are not good people.
One Park reiterated that the picture was not made to caricature any religion but was intended to exhibit art. He said he was portraying isolation and suffering he endured in the Gambian society.
The intention is and the idea was all about, earth. And I've been One Pack, been devastated by my society, isolated by my community. There's a kind of torture going on, and this is what I want to portray. You just can't condemn people for the fact of doing one mistake of their life, and you just want to, take that advantage of pointing them or labeling them for life as a bad person. We all have but then again, we need chance to be given to each other, to prove also case our good and also our best we can just put on the table or present to the whole world, that it could be beneficial both to the world and the presiding nation you are presiding at, and be part of the national development. Going out to the fellow youth, I have my cans and calibers still on the streets, and I cannot feel complete and will never be relent, until seeing them being more than me or being like me, paving the good way.
One Park, a former convict who had been to jail 19 times, said he wants to change, so people should not condemn or further isolate him. He said society should not ostracize people like him or further alienate them, which may push him back to his old ways of robbing people. The singer also said he is battling with psychological problems due to the trauma he went through in jail.
Further is filed in by Fatmata Kasim on One Pack, a Gambian musician who clarified issues when he faced the media on Tuesday. Now, some politics now, because the leader of the Gambia Moral Congress, Mai Ahmad Fati, said his party will form the next government in the Gambia. The West African country will vote will vote a president in December, and Fati believes that the silent majority will vote for him or for his party in the upcoming elections. Here's more details of that again by Ndei Sise in this report.
Mai Ahmad Fati never ran for office as a presidential candidate, but his party participated in the last two elections, forming alliances with other opposition political parties in 2011 and 2016. As the Gambia is to vote in presidential election in December 2021, Fati has hinted his plan to run as a presidential candidate for the first time, saying his Gambia Moral Congress party will form the next government. By any comparison, the GMC, like a host of other political parties, has a small non-followership, but Fati's hopes hinge on prospective votes from the silent majority of Gambians who will vote in the upcoming election. On Tuesday, he also told journalists at the GMC office that his party is optimistic of winning next year's election because many people are joining his party.
And I want to assure you that victory belongs to your party. The future of this country belongs to your party. And the next government of the Gambia will be one led and established by GMC, inshallah.
Fati's GMC wants to tackle fundamental issues like youth unemployment and said they will initiate programs for youth empowerment. The GMC also wants to transform the country's fragile health system, according to Fati.
We will transform this country from where it is to one that you'll be proud of. Not only that, to one that will be proud of Africa. We will transform this country to one that will focus on the fundamental issues of youth employment and youth empowerment. We will focus our energies in this country on improving the healthcare system so that people will stop dying from preventable illnesses. People will stop dying from giving birth to babies, so that people will stop this tourism migration of health to Senegal and other countries.
While the party leader said a lot of people are joining the GMC, the party's media officer, Tida Kijera, said she hopes many youths will join the party before the December elections as the GMC is becoming popular.
In the country, currently, we have 16 political parties, but out of all parties, you choose GMC, and we are very happy about that. The hope and trust that inspired you to join GMC shall never be broken, because we have our leader, and group leadership is very important. The leader you will choose should be someone ready to develop the country. We cannot promise anyone that we will give out money, because GMC is not here to compete with anyone in giving out money. Leaders should be well educated, and now I believe that GMC is becoming known to Gambians, and before the election, youths from different parts of the country will join GMC.
Several Gambian politicians, including President Adama Barrow and other opposition leaders, including Fati's own party, have been making promises to change people's lives, but not much has been achieved, save for a few roads and safe drinking water in some communities and regions. On Tuesday, Mai Ahmad Fati said lying and promising people about things one cannot fulfill should be out of politics. For iAfrica News, I am Daisy Se.
Gambian politics there, of course, GMC to form the next government, not my words, but says by the GMC party leader, Mai Ahmad Fati. And with that, we will now take a break and come back shortly with the remaining of the story. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
For the first time in the Gambia, your favorite GSM operator, Africell, is the first and only GSM operator to launch a brand new technology called the eSIM. The eSIM simply means you can use your phone without a SIM card. Do you have an iPhone 11? Any of the iPhone X series, a Google Pixel 3, or any new phone that supports the e-technology? Then walk into any Africell customer care center and activate your eSIM today. With your virtual Africell SIM, you can use more than one number without having a physical SIM card in your phone. Enjoy this brand new technology for the first time in the Gambia, brought to you by Africell. eSIM, your phone without a SIM card. For more information, please call 111. Where Africell goes, nobody dares to follow.
Welcome back, and you're watching the World Today News Bulletin on Africa TV, and now to the rest of the stories. Now, President Adama Barrow received a backlash from the opposition and social media activists over the appointment of Remy Jaina as Deputy Chairman of the Independent Electoral Commission. And he was forced to resign the appointment after it was revealed that Jaina serves in the executive of President Barrow's National People's Party. Fatma Kasim tells us more of that in this report.
The Gambia's President Adama Barrow is about to wrap his 2020 constitutional mandate to meet the people, find out about their challenges and to find ways and means of solving them. On Tuesday, he was in the Joswan constituency where he held a meeting at the Ibo Town Park and made promises to address some of the development challenges in the constituency. In particular, he promised to build first-class roads in Ibo Town, a settlement on watercourses that lacks access to roads mainly during the summer. Barrow's promise is based on a government plan to build 20 new roads as part of the development program for the 2022 OIC summit to be held in Banjul. The Joswan constituency has over 30,000 inhabitants with a poor road and no drainage system. Residents of Ibo Town who are part of this constituency want their conditions improved in terms of roads and sanitation. On Tuesday night, President Barrow said his government will construct new roads to replace the decades-old dilapidated roads in Ibo Town.
I have one thing to tell you, the people of Ibo Town. I didn't come here empty-handed. I brought something for you, the people of Ibo Town. I will tell you, people with the road project of the OIC, Ibo Town will have its share. In 50 years, there is only one road to Ibo Town. Starting from Joko and the main Kombosila Highway to the riverside is part of my project, which I would be launching in March, April, by the grace of the Almighty Allah. You will soon see machines coming in Ibo Town to start this work.
Meanwhile, Ibo Town's main football field and the car park share the same space. The residents of Ibo Town said they want the Minister of Youth and Sports to include them in his ministry's plans to construct mini stadiums across the country. Also speaking at Tuesday's meeting, the National Assembly member for the Joswan constituency, Alaji Drama, said the constituency's main problem is lack of roads.
Your Excellency,
I have one thing to tell you, the people of Ibo Town. I didn't come here empty-handed. I brought something for you, the people of Ibo Town. I will tell you, people with the road project of the OIC, Ibo Town will have its share. In 50 years, there is only one road to Ibo Town. Starting from Joko and the main Kombosila Highway to the riverside is part of my project, which I would be launching in March, April, by the grace of the Almighty Allah. You will soon see machines coming in Ibo Town to start this work.
The people in Ibo Town have enjoyed heavy rains and flooding in addition to inaccessible roads and streets mostly during the summer, despite several promises in the past to fix these problems. Some local residents told iAfrica TV that President Barrow's promises raise new hopes, but they will wait to see if they will be fulfilled. Reporting for iAfrica News, I am Mariama Cham.
The report, of course, was filed there by Mariama Cham instead of Fatma Kasim, as I mentioned, on President Barrow's Meet the People store meeting yesterday in Ibo Town. Now to South Africa next, because the South African government's decision to reimpose a national lockdown to tame the rapid spread of the COVID-19 pandemic could further weaken the country's economy. Experts say South Africa remains as the hardest hit country on the continent since the emergence of the novel coronavirus in March 2020. Businesses have already begun to feel the impact of the new measures reintroduced by authorities. Let's have more of that in this report.
South African growth forecasts for 2021 face downward revisions, and debt may exceed 100% of GDP in the 22-23 fiscal year. But there is an immediate impact, as the hospitality sector will bear the brunt of the new restrictions.
The economic impact will obviously be quite severe, particularly in the liquor industry, in the hospitality industry, the restaurant industry. But at the time the President made the announcement to take us to lockdown level 3, we did say, and we still maintain, that he didn't have too much of a choice.
The announcement came in the middle of the traditional holiday high season. Hotels catering for foreign and domestic travellers will be the hardest hit.
These hotels that are looking at foreigners rely on the 4-5 months from November to the beginning of March for about 60% of their income. The other fact is the local hotels and the local guest houses rely about for 40% of their income for the 2 weeks leading up to Christmas to the beginning of school term and just thereafter.
To make matters worse, government hasn't provided any support to businesses or workers.
We will also be interacting with social partners at NEDLAC, at the COVID Rapid Response Task Team that's been meeting since the advent of COVID, to see what the possibilities are of government extending some sort of support to businesses and employees that might be impacted.
South Africa a bit unique in that we've enforced business closures, but we don't allow for help to come through. It seems to be very much a problem in the poorer countries, but South Africa is a higher middle income country, should not have that problem, but yet we do. And that is going to have a devastating impact on the economy.
The latest lockdown is expected to be revised on 15 January. It all depends on the infection rates and whether they have come down or not. A new approach has been suggested.
For instance, the hotspots that have been declared, what's been the impact there? Are those still going up? Are those still hotspots? Have they worsened? If so, can we make appropriate targeted interventions in those hotspots, in those areas where we're seeing exponential increases in the virus?
There's no question that this latest lockdown has had an impact on the hospitality sector over that December period. The question now is whether that lockdown is extended beyond the 15th of January.
From the reporter in South Africa, finally to South Sudan now. Now, the South Sudanese government is set to host an investment stakeholders meeting in January, which is expected to persuade foreign investors into the country. A World Bank report Ease of Doing Business report states that the main challenges of doing business in South Sudan has been the high level of corruption in the country. However, experts have urged the government to outline policies that could attract more investors. Here's more details of that in this report.
South Sudan's government says it hopes the investment conference scheduled for this month will encourage multinational companies to put their money in South Sudan. However, the World Bank's 2020 Doing Business report ranked South Sudan 187th out of 190 economies on overall ease of doing business. The World Bank further says the legal framework governing investment and private enterprises remains underdeveloped. The report mentions the main obstacle to doing business in South Sudan is the high levels of corruption.
What we declare today, that is the investment year, is part of the reforms in the economic sector. We have been working as economic cluster on how we should prevent the corruption. You have seen a lot of committees which are formed. You have seen how the non-oil revenue increased, the collection increased.
South Sudan depends on oil money to fund 98% of its budget. Juba says it is keen to diversify the economy, and in order to do that, it needs investors in other sectors of the economy. But one economic expert says the government still needs to do more to attract investors in the country.
The government needs to do serious reform in the economic sector, from the Ministry of Finance to the central bank, and the reform that is executed, not the reform that is said. That way, the country will gain some credibility in the eyes of the international community and international banking institutions, and they will be able to get some loan, or they will be able to help the country to come out of the economic crisis.
The protracted civil war and the coronavirus pandemic have triggered inflation, resulting in prices of basic goods rising beyond what many here can afford. Some businesses have closed and many people have lost jobs. South Sudan says its priority is the hoped-for investment in agriculture, health, infrastructure, mining, petroleum, and even tourism in the hope of employing the unemployed. Relative peace is returning to the country, but business people say there are still challenges such as poor road network, which negatively affects business.
We are very hopeful, and we can see that with the peace that is here, now business is starting to boom. We are able to send trucks to wow the only barriers will be the water, the floods, but not security.
South Sudan's government says it wants to reclaim the economy through private-public sector investment, and it will begin that process with the conference scheduled for mid this month.
South Sudanese government working on measures to improve the country's economy by improving, or should I say, by persuading foreign investors into the country. And from the report in Juba, we finally bring this news bulletin to an end. But for more details on this and other stories, as always, you can visit our website on africa.tv. But for now, though, many thanks for the pleasure of your company. Thanks for watching. Stay safe and bye for now.